culvert repair and installation, property clearing, utility line installation and repair,
Straight here,
and much,
folks.
much more. Call us at 304-532-2968 or find us on Facebook at DW Excavating LLC. Don't delay. Call us today to schedule your next project. DW Excavating LLC is a proud sponsor of the 2021 Rome County Raider football team. Go Raiders!
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday night here at the studio up on the hill in Spencer, West Virginia. That means only one thing. The Raider Review is on the air. My name is Andrew Miller, joined alongside the partners, John Penna, Matt White, who has avoided this show, by the way, for the first 7 years of being with us.
Well, I guess it was time you roped me into everything else. Why not this too?
Absolutely. Going to get you roped into this just the same. And I'm glad we had a chance to, Matt. So we appreciate you joining us. And we're going to talk all things Roane County sports. Of course, we've got a lot of fall sports that are up and running. We'll talk about the big game last Friday night. Roane County getting off to a 1-0 start with a big victory on the new turf field at County Stadium over St. Mary's. We'll talk JV football action. We've got a lot of volleyball going on right now. We were able to go over yesterday and see the Lady Raiders sweep a try match at Ravenswood. We'll talk about that as well. Little Raider football going on as well. Golf, well, they had one, and they missed another one, and that was due to the wonderful wild West Virginia weather that we consistently have. So a lot on tap. We'll have Coach Paul Burdette in studio as well later on tonight. But John, you and I started talking, which is never a good thing. We started talking a few weeks back about how successful the Legends series on the Wednesday night show we had a couple of years ago was, and the fact that we would love to go back to that.
Yeah,
We'd like to find the greats that we remember, people who have been really influential and impactful in Roane County athletics in whatever capacity it is. So we got together, we started putting lists together.
yeah, definitely. It was great to see the kind of the community get behind us when we decided to do that, and just it's so neat to be able to talk to those folks and get those stories and figure out some things that we didn't know about Roane County. You and I have been big fans since we've been watching the Spencer High School team win the state championship. So just a really good opportunity for those guys to kind of get their voice back out there. So very interested in where we're going to go with this year.
Well, listen, John, you were in preseason mode, according to you, on Friday night.
Yeah.
But you just gave the perfect segue to our first guest this year,
Yeah.
talking about the state high school championship at Spencer High School in 1991. This guy was high on our list to try to bring into the studio 2 years ago, and we finally bring him in, and he is our first guest for our Legends series here for the year. And I didn't know, honestly, when I put this out to YouTube and Facebook, I wrote kind of a quick bio, long-time Spencer High School play-by-play announcer, Roane County High School play-by-play announcer, Glenville State University play-by-play announcer, Bob Zdanek, and I put in parentheses, Bob Edwards.
Yeah. Because, a lot of people know me as Bob Zdanek and not Bob Edwards, and vice versa. And even after years and years being on the radio here, people still didn't put the two together.
It's amazing that they couldn't, because you obviously have a distinct voice around here. You have a very distinct accent and inflection around here, and people just couldn't connect Edwards to you.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. And I changed my name for radio when I was in Charleston, because when they're keeping diaries in a market, the people that are keeping those diaries write down who they're listening to, what station they're listening to. It may not be all of that information. It may just be part. So if they said, "Oh, I'm listening to Drew Miller," easy name. Bob Zdanek. not that easy. So, even a small market like Charleston, this is not a small market. You know, Spencer,
Yeah.
that's not listed in that.
Yeah.
Charleston is a small market.
Yeah.
As far as advertisers go. If you miss 2 or 3 mentions in a diary, it could cost that station tens of thousands of dollars in national advertising. Because when an advertiser would come in, they might buy the top 3 stations in the market in different music genres or talk or whatever. So they said, you got to change your name. So
Did they pick Edwards or did you?
Edward is my middle name. So I just went with Bob Edwards. Funny thing, when I worked at C98 in Ripley, after I left Charleston, went to Ripley, there was a state cop named Bob Edwards. Yeah. And Bob Edwards, the state cop, would get all these calls from, listeners wanting to speak with Bob Edwards. That's the gospel truth.
Oh.
And then there was a long time guy on NPR, National Public Radio, who was Bob Edwards, and a lot of our older listeners who are listening, that ever listened to it, would know who I'm talking about. He was really famous, and people would say, "Oh, are you that Bob?" No, no. But that's why I changed it.
Yeah.
And when I left Charleston and came back to run the station here, I just, it was such a habit already. I kept it that way.
Yeah.
But Zach, my son Zach, did a lot of broadcasting with me at Glenville and even here.
Mhm.
But people would say, I don't understand it. How is he Zach Zdanek and you're Bob Edwards? But he's your son. Well, you got to go through all of that.
You got to go through the entire.
That's what happened. Yeah. I was asked to change my name to facilitate, really the record keeping in that when people are keeping diaries. Because, if you had a real catchy name, it works good. But Zdanek would not be real good.
Listen, I remember figuring that out as a kid.
Oh, yeah,
I remember figuring out. I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
that's Josh's dad. Wait a minute, Bob,
Yeah.
I remember figuring it out. And I'm like, okay, well then I went to the whole the actor and actress thing. I'm like, well, he's in the business.
Yeah.
He's in the business, so he's got to change his
I
name,
also found out when he was coaching me, not in baseball, but in basketball, in Midget League basketball, we had a WVRC team. I can still remember the old portraits, pictures that they used to do.
That's
I think
fine.
it was,
Fine one.
I can't remember who it was. Diane Board maybe used to do those or something.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I tell you what, you had a serious mustache back then.
Oh, yeah. I had hair back then. I can still grow a mustache. There's just not much up here, is there, John?
There's not a whole
By the
lot.
way, you're charging me too much.
Yeah, listen, I get that quite a bit. There's always got to be a finder's fee, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We'll get into the Roane County aspect and the Spencer aspect of things here in just a bit, but we want to take it back because one of the
go too far back.
Yeah,
My memory is starting to go.
we'll hit the high notes. I tell you what, for your time as a youngster and a high school athlete first. But it was always so interesting 2 years ago when we were able to dig back a little bit into where sports got started for all of these people, because there's a common theme and a common thread to each of the people that we interviewed at that time. There was always a general love of sports, whatever it was, that bound everyone together, no matter what avenue you ended up in. So let's take it back. You grew up in New Jersey, correct?
Yeah, I was born in Chicago. That's
Okay.
why my accent is so screwed up. I was born in Chicago, lived in Illinois until I was in the 5th grade.
Okay.
And so you develop most of your dialect and everything at that age. So I moved to New Jersey. Everybody in New Jersey said, "Man, you got a crazy accent." He asked my wife, Diane. She was my next door neighbor in New Jersey. And they would always mock me on how I said backyard or coffee, because that's not Jersey.
Yeah.
And there's 2 guys now out at the Roane County Country Club. Just played golf with them today. and they are from Jersey, and they have the Jersey accent.
Yeah.
And my younger brothers, who grew up in New Jersey, they sound just like them. Matter of fact, one of the guys that plays, I don't think you've ever played with him, Joe McAteer. If I had my eyes closed, I would think it was my brother. He sounds just like him. His patterns are the same, but grew up in New Jersey from 5th grade to high school.
Okay.
So that's how I got to Jersey. My dad worked for a company that had offices both in Chicago and New Jersey. And they transferred him to New Jersey, and we moved out to New Jersey.
That interesting side note that you grew up next door to who would be your wife.
Yeah.
That's such a neat little
Diane
side
and I
story.
just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Just on the 19th. And we were together a lot longer than that because she was a year ahead of me in school, but she lived right next door to us. I mean, it was from here to the parking lot. That's probably how far away we lived. And we started semi-dating when she was a junior in high school. And then we went to her senior prom, her graduation ball, my junior senior prom, my senior prom, my graduation ball. And then she went to college. I was still a senior in high school. She dumped me right away. But she came back. She came back. She came back. Yeah.
So let's talk about the high school. Did sports start for you in high school,
Yeah.
or was it earlier?
Yeah, no, it was high school. Honestly, I don't remember us having much junior high sports when I was in school. Maybe it just, I wasn't involved, but I don't remember that hardly at all. Played Little League Baseball. I was terrible. I'd be out in the outfield, and the coach would put me out there and say, please don't hit it to him. Please don't hit it to him. And I'd be out there thinking, please don't hit it to him. But freshman year, I went out for football. I was skinny and small, but I went out for football. And we played a single wing, and I was going to be a pulling guard. Yeah. And I was going to get to play some on the JV team. Day before our first game, we were in a tackling drill, and a guy falls on my arm and broke my wrist and had to have a cast from my wrist all the way up to my shoulder.
Oh,
So I was out of football.
Yeah.
Guy that was the cross-country coach said, you can run with a cast. So he asked me to go out. So I did. And I found out I was good at running.
Yeah.
That's why I was going to play a little football, because I was fast. And, pulling guard is what they did all the time.
Yeah.
So I went out for cross country and never played football again. Would run cross country, indoor track, outdoor track. And that's what I did in high school.
And that's what led you to college.
Yeah.
Now, how did you end up in West Virginia? I'm giving you the opportunity there.
I was going to Tennessee Wesleyan. They had offered me some money to go and run track. That's a lot further than Philippi, West Virginia,
Yes.
from New Jersey, and a lot further from Harris, Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, where Diane was. And that had probably more to do with than anything. But I'm in class one day. I'm a senior. And my track coach was a little bitty man, a Spanish teacher, Senor Bell. And he was just way ahead of his time in coaching track. I mean, we had state championship teams. I still am a record holder in New Jersey for the 2-mile relay team. Diane's class, when I was a junior, had 3 really good half-milers, and they needed one more, and I was the guy that always got to run with them. And we were great, and it was because of this coach, the way he put us together and everything. And then, of course, they changed from the 2-mile relay to now the 4x8.
Yeah.
So it was probably 5 or 6 years after we ran So that record is still there
Nice.
in New Jersey for the 4 by the 2 mile relay team.
Yeah, so that will never be broken.
Never
because it
be
doesn't
broken
exist.
because nobody's running it anymore. That's the only reason we could get a record. But anyway, I'm sitting in class and he comes and he says, "Come here." He says, "I want you to come here." And there was a recruiter from Alderson Broadus, who was recruiting in New Jersey, and we had a lot of kids from New Jersey going to AB at that time. AB was not that expensive. Now it's outrageous. I mean, it is outrageous. When I started at AB in the fall of 1969, everything was under $2,000. Room and board and tuition was under
Wow.
$2,000.
You
Now,
can't, you can't get your books for less
no,
than that.
yeah,
these days.
no,
yeah.
that was a long time ago. But anyway, long story short, the recruiter talked to me and said, "We're trying to start a track team." So I scheduled a visit. Diane's mom, my wife's mom, and her brother drove me down here to West Virginia, and I met Jim Daddiesman, who was the track coach, and he convinced me to come. And I came to Philippi to go to AB. I remember when I came down as a freshman, again, it was Diane's mom and my mom, and I think Diane was with him that drove me down to Philippi, and they said my mom cried all the way back. I grew up in metropolitan New Jersey.
Right,
I mean,
right.
just outside New York City.
Yeah.
We weren't 15 miles from the George Washington Bridge. So it's like Charleston, South Charleston, St. Albans, just stacked one after the other.
Yeah.
She comes down to Philippi and she said, "Oh my God, what am how can I leave him there?" From the minute I stepped on campus, I loved it and loved West Virginia and never left.
Wow.
Never
Well,
left.
that's amazing because oftentimes people who come from cities, Chicago, followed by a big city
Yeah.
in New Jersey, they come here and it is a shock.
Oh yeah, yeah. But we have everything here that we had in New Jersey. You just might have to drive a little
That's
further
it.
to get it.
That's it.
But so what?
Yeah.
It would take us 45 minutes to drive that 15 miles to the George Washington
Yeah,
Bridge.
right.
And then there for a half an hour waiting to get across the bridge. And then, yeah, I haven't been back to New Jersey in a long time. Probably 25 years, I'm saying. And I still have a couple brothers and sisters who live there.
Yeah.
We've seen them before, but we all get together someplace else. You can keep it.
Yeah.
You can keep it.
Folks, we're talking with the legendary broadcaster. And listen,
You sound like
legendary broadcaster
Listen,
in a lot of
yeah,
people's
yeah. I mean,
minds
yeah.
around here.
We grew up with you.
Yeah,
We
listen,
grew up.
we're going to take a quick break. We got to give our exclusive sponsor a little bit of love, DW Excavating. We'll come back. We'll continue this conversation, and we'll talk about how Bob Zdanek ended up in Roane County.
How is
Here, as we are joined by, and he never thought a legendary would come out of our mouth, but we consider Bob Zdanek, Bob Edwards, that some people know, to be a legend in the game of broadcasting, especially when you're us and you grew up listening to him. Now, we were at the games every Friday night, but back then you used to replay games
Yeah.
on Saturday mornings. And we would head up to WVU games, and that
Yeah.
was what
Yeah.
we listened
You
to.
can thank Rick Hubbard for that. Rick
Okay.
Hubbard came to me one day after a game, saw him downtown Saturday morning, and he said, "You know what?" He said, "I would love to listen to the game, but we're always there." He says, "Why don't you replay them sometime?" So we started replaying the games on Saturday mornings, and it was good. Everybody really liked it.
We still have many memories. I talked to Adam Anderson and some people who my parents would go up to the Mountaineer games, and we would make them tune in until we can't hear it anymore.
Right.
So you're at AB. You helped start a track program there, basically.
Yeah.
And then you get through school, and let's just start from there. How does that end you up in Roane
When I
County?
was at AB, they had a little radio station, college radio station, and a guy, I was on work scholarship. I was working with the audiovisual department, and the guy that was in charge of that ran the radio station. And he said, "Hey," he said, "you got a pretty good voice. Why don't you come and, do some radio?" So I started a little show in WCAB. And interesting story, all on records back then.
Yeah.
And we were having trouble getting the records. So he said, "Why don't you call some of these companies and see if we can get them to send us records?" Well, I'd call and say, WCAB, and they said, so he said, "Tell them you're from WABC, Gospel Truth." I call and
Hoodwinking them.
say, "I'd like to talk to somebody about getting some records. We're not getting any records." And she said, "Well, who is this?" And I said, "This is WCABC," which was the huge radio station in New York, at that time. Gospel Truth. Got with the guy, and he said, "Geez." I said, "No, I said CAB."
I promise.
He just must have confused it. We had a little conversation. He said, "I'll help you." And he put us on some kind of a list, and we started getting records from different, people, not just them. So it was good. But anyway, that's how I got into broadcasting. My track coach, Jim Daddysman, who just died, he was 80, I think 84, maybe 85. He lost his wife when he came to AB. He was a history teacher, and just really a good guy. Had a young daughter. Now he's a single, father, and everything. So we ran track. He used to broadcast the AB games, basketball, did some baseball games. He also broadcast for the Charleston, I think they were the Charlies or the Rockets, maybe the Rockets, the old football team in Charleston. He used to do the games there. So anyway, he got me involved with helping him with those. And I'd be his, color guy and just go to games with him. And he lost his driver's license for a while. And I drove to the game, would drive him to the games and stuff, but he was really good. He had a terrible accident, got rolled over in a 280Z by a coal truck.
Ooh.
Pulled out behind one to pass, and there was another one coming.
Oh.
Rolled right over him. And they summons me to the hospital, and he says, "You got to do the game." When I saw him, I didn't recognize him. He was so beat up. There was a game the next night at West Virginia State. And so I put everything together, and I drove down there and did the game. That was my first ever broadcast all by myself. And I went to see him a couple days later, and I said, "How'd it go?" He said, he said it was good, but he said, "They sure shoot a lot of 30-footers. Everything they shot, I guess I was saying that was a 30-footer. And nerves probably had nothing to do with it. but that's how I got into broadcasting, was with Jim Daddysman, and he was our fraternity advisor. Diane and I got married. I still had a year of school to go, and she was teaching in Barber County, her starting salary was $5,400 a year. That's gospel truth. And we thought we were on,
You were rolling.
we were rolling in it back then. And she used to babysit for Jim Daddiesman, and he was a good friend over the years. And then I would see him often at AB when I'd go to do games, basketball games with my Glenville broadcasting.
Yeah.
So, but that's how I got into it.
And it was love at first broadcast. Huh?
Well, sort of. We moved from Philippi to Spencer. I got a job with a fundraising company that worked with sports teams, community groups, church groups, things like that.
Mhm.
They wanted me in the Huntington, Charleston, Parkersburg triangle because that's where so many schools were. Well, Diane applied for a few jobs and she got offered a job in Spencer. I think she got offered one in Calhoun County as well, but she took the one in Spencer. We moved to Spencer, and we were living right down here on Summit Street. And somebody told me, yeah, there's a little radio station up there. And I came up here one day, and Bill Ellis was working, and I started doing a few part-time shifts, and then somebody left. And Bill Ellis offered me a job, make a minimum wage. And they were paying me pretty good with this other job, but I really didn't like it.
Your wife was rolling in the dough.
Yeah. So we talked, and Diane said, if that's what you want to do, try it. And I was here, I don't know, about a year, and then I went to Charleston and worked there for a year and a half or so. And I was working on the AM side, WKAZ, the Rhythm of the City. And it was an AM station. It was really good. They were the AM for WQBE, which at that time was all automated. No live jocks or anything at all. They got a new program director, and he says, we got to do something with this. And they went live on WQBE, and they took me off the AM and put me on WQBE from 7 till midnight. I would do it. Driving down there, every day. Diane Zachary, was an infant.
Yeah.
And, I'm getting home at 1 or so. Diane's getting up and getting Zach to the babysitter and going to school. She'd be gone. By the time she got home, I'd be gone.
Yeah.
And it was kind of crazy. So C98 offered me a job. And I went over there.
That's half the drive.
Yeah, and I worked there for a couple of years, and that's really where I got into sports broadcasting, because I did Ripley High School and Ravenswood High School. They'd do a game of the week, and rotate it. And we did football and basketball. And then I went back to WCAW in Charleston, and they didn't do any sports, and I worked there for about 2.5 years doing afternoons. And the guys that owned WVRC were accountants for previous owners, and they had bought it from them. Well, these guys knew nothing about radio, nothing at all. And the station was losing money really badly, and they asked me, and I said, no, I really liked what I was doing at WCAW. It's a kick working in a bigger market, and all the extra stuff you have and that. But they kept, asking, come on. So I still living here, and my father-in-law was over for dinner one time, and he was more of a father to me than my father ever was. And I asked him, I said, what do you think? And he says, hey, he said, go in there, give them what you want, and if they want to pay you that, take it.
Yeah.
So we went in, I said, here's the salary I want, which was not great, but more than I was making in Charleston. I want total autonomy to run the station the way it needs to be run. They were running country in the morning, gospel music midday, and then rock in the afternoon.
They couldn't pick a
They
shot.
said, well, we got to have the kids. I said, the kids aren't listening to that station. No matter what you do, you can stand on the roof and give away dollar bills, and they ain't listening. So they said, go ahead. I said, one other thing. Want to buy the station? They said, "Oh my gosh, yes, we'll help you." So that was in '83, and in '85 we bought the AM station.
Yeah.
And then in '92 we put the FM on, and that changed everything.
So when did you start broadcasting Spencer High School athletics here?
'83, fall of '83.
So that was the first year you actually
Yeah.
started. It was football
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
And you were the play-by-play voice of Spencer High School athletics for the rest of that school.
Oh yeah,
Until 1993,
Yeah.
when Walton and Spencer
yeah.
combined to make Roane County High School. You were the play-by-play announcer for Roane County High School in its infancy, all the way up to 2006. And in between that, somewhere you decided to do Glenville State athletics.
Well, we when we got the FM on the air, we put the FM on the air in the winter of '92, and I can remember all these tables that are still here, the councils. I built all of this out in the yard, and Larry and I moved it in one night when we were putting it on. Got all the. I mean, it was a long journey to try to get it done. We worked on it for years before we got it. And Josh was in junior high, and while we're hooking everything up and everything, we're on the air, and Josh was DJ Z, and he was playing records and everything. But anyway, we put it on in January or February, I can't remember, but Jeff Boyles came to us and asked us for a job, and he Jeff can sell you, ice bag to an Eskimo.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yes.
He was a talented salesman, really. So we said, yeah, but it's got to be all outside stuff, because we got everything else covered.
Yeah.
So and now with the FM signal, you could go out. Well, he knew some people in Glenville. One thing led to another. He said, would you do a Pioneer game? That's when Rich was there.
Mm-hmm.
So
What,
we
a,
said,
a time to do that.
so I think the first year we did 4 games. And then the next year we did most of them. And that's how we started. We did that for, 2-3 years. And then we started with basketball. And again, we started just doing a few of them because you had West Virginia, you had high school. One winter, when we were doing a lot of them, I did 79 basketball games, high school in Glenville. 79 basketball games.
Wow.
I mean, every night I was going someplace. Well, you're that way with different sports, but
Yeah.
you know how that is.
I'm not
But
sure we've
that's
ever
how
been
we got.
79.
I don't think we've ever hit 70.
That's how we got into doing
Yeah.
Glenville sports, and that was in '92, the fall of '92 when we started it. In 2 weeks, I'll do a game for Glenville, and it will be my 30th year doing Glenville sports.
We're going to talk about that here in just a second. Let's take a break and give DW Excavating a little bit of love, and we'll be back with Bob Zadanek. Everyone to not criticize me, Coach Paul Burdette waiting in the wings and reminding me that I have forgotten to do something correctly. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Called many of his games in high school and at Glenville.
And at Glenville. We're talking with the legendary voice of Spencer High School, Roane County High School, and of course, Glenville State, now University.
Yeah.
Sports, Bob Zadanek. And Bob, you said here in a couple of broadcasts you will be officially 30 years
Yeah.
as the play-by-play announcer for Glenville State Athletics.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how many coaches that is?
Bunch.
My goodness. That's a lot of coaches. And a lot of players. People will come to me and say, remember so-and-so? Hell no, I can't remember that. 30 years of 120 football player. No, I don't remember that.
Let alone the Spencer High School
Yeah.
players. and the
Yeah,
Rowan
I
County
mean, there's
players.
some that you
Yes.
just never forget. But became really good friends with Rich Rodriguez because we did it 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years while he was there, and went to 2 national championships with him and everything, and all those people. Tony Gibson, who is now at North Carolina State. When he sees me, we it's like old home week and everything. And it's funny, I was watching Rich's team, Jacksonville State, the other Saturday on TV, and there's Rick Trickett, who was at Glenville for several years, and I know him. He wasn't at Glenville with Rich when he was there. That can't remember what the score was.
It was
But-
probably 2 scores.
Yeah, we're losing. We're down on the field with Mark Martin from Channel 8,
Mhm.
who, by the way, his first ever job was right here at
Yes.
WVRC. Used to sleep on our couch. But he says, he said, you guys just getting beat. He said, I really thought. And Jim Dean looked at him and he said, we're going to win this. We've been in this situation before, and we had with
The year
St.
before.
Mary's and everything. And son of a gun, they just dominated them in the second half.
Man,
But it was wild. But
yeah.
what really I remember about that whole thing was the support. And gave and kept on giving. And, who knows, if we get there again, I'm sure they would do the same thing, but it and we're playing Ripley, and you come on and kick a field goal, and your dad wasn't at the game.
Nope.
He was on his tells me he was listening to that when you kicked that field goal.
And I tell you what, those memories.
Can you grab that charger back there for me so we don't have to behind the computer right there?
Montaire.
We welcome you back in studio, folks. That
No, the other.
was awesome. That was, again, as now broadcasters, but as kids growing up in the era of Spencer High School athletics, and specifically that run at Spencer High School in 1990 and, of course, 1991. I could not wait to get Bob Zdanek in here and have him talk about some of the memories. But I wanted to discuss, how he got here, his
Yeah.
history, and it was really just such a neat thing to have him. We apologize, folks, to those of you who were tuning in on YouTube. Our wireless road mics went dead, and so we were kind of distant because all you could hear was from the camera,
Yeah.
which is why it sounded so distant. I hope everybody was able to get at least enough that they could hear him a little bit at the end of there, because that was such a great thing. Man, what a fun time.
Yeah, we had talked about going back to that, and absolutely, Bob was the guy that we really wanted to get in here to talk about all the things that had happened before we were able to start broadcasting and things, and just really cool to hear his story. You like I said, you don't know how everything worked out, but man, we are so glad that it did, and it's been awesome. I'll tell you that.
We could stay on the radio for 2 hours with him.
It may have been one of those questionable decisions in his lifetime when he actually gave you the job, but it has turned out good for all of us now, with you being here now, running the radio station.
Yeah, my
Drew.
first job, it was interesting, Bob, talking about building this equipment, or not the equipment, but building this desk and everything. And I sat at this actual desk. He remembers this desk. It's so neat to have a little bit of that nostalgia here in 1995 and 6 when I was working here as a young, wet behind the ears high school idiot. But I tell you, yeah, we could have talked for hours.
Yeah.
So
one of
that
the cool things for us is, of course, back then you didn't really have the before we were in high school, there wasn't like Channel 2, right? So then when Channel 2 came about, you could get the football game with the audio over it, and then they would play that on Channel 2 like the week after you played. You could not wait to match those two things up together. It was so much fun.
Old-fashioned syncing up. We've got some work to do here before we let Coach Burdette go wild on us here. Let's talk a little bit real quickly. We're just going to go briefly down the list of the sports from last week. Obviously, Roane County High School Golf rained out yesterday. They had the Mason County Invite ready to go. They did play in the Williamstown Yellow Jacket Golf Invitational without Emerson Simons, who was playing in an all-girls event at the time. Roane County finishing 4th out of 5 teams. Great job by Lucas Hall, going pretty low there with a 43. Darren Raines finishing with a 46. Jaden Webb with a 49. So you got 3 in those 40 areas. And we talked about that 2 weeks ago, John. You're going to have those young guys step up, and it's good to see those guys start to break down into that mid-40s, low 40s area. And now we just want them to be a little consistent with that. So very exciting for Coach Bubba Kendall's team. Tyson Watson finishing with 54. Cody Nichols with a 58, and Carter Kinder with a 61. They'll be in action at a duel versus Lewis County at the Stonewall Resort at 4 p.m. tomorrow. That is a great place to go play some golf. Very difficult, but a great place to play some golf nevertheless. Raiders soccer, they took a few on the chin here the last 3 matches. A close loss last Thursday to Parkersburg Catholic, 2-1. Very close match. Michaela Clarkson, the senior, and one of the twins, Caitlin and Michaela, with the lone goal on Luke Watson's assist. Watson also went in goal. 7 saves. Andy Jarvis coming in for a save as well. They lost to Webster County Monday, 7-0. Luke Watson had 15 saves in goal. Andy Jarvis with a pair of saves. And then yesterday, they lost to Nicholas County 11-0. Nicholas County, quite the team, by the way, as I have been told. Luke Watson, 11 saves. Dymere Hoffman in goal for a little bit. He had 9 saves. Andy Jarvis with 2 saves. And they'll be in action tomorrow up on the turf field against Independence. Ooh, yeah, no matter what, that takes a different tone to it, doesn't it? That'll be a 6:30 p.m. start to that. I guess I got to call it the County Stadium pitch tomorrow, because that's what you call a field, I think, for soccer. It's on the pitch. Excuse me. Lady Raider Volleyball, great start to the season. They are 3-0. Last Wednesday, August 24th, they beat St. Mary's, as I've now termed them the cardiac kids of this year, because they had them down 25-18, 25-16. Let the Blue Devils come back into it. There's a theme to that, by the way, we're going to talk about. Coach Burdette 18-25, 20-25, and then the decisive fifth set, 15-13. Roane County just ekes it out at the end. Michaela Boatwright, 8 aces, 18 digs. Mahaley Nicholson, 3 aces, a dig, 12 kills, and 4 blocks. Paige Blosser, 4 blocks. Piper Harlan, 3 aces, 10 digs, 11 kills, 1 block. Olivia Moorhead, a 1 ace, 7 digs, 1 kill, 1 block, and 39 assists. 39. I think
Just
she is
John
filling the
Stockton.
shoes of Amber Drennan quite well right
The
now.
John Stockton of volleyball.
Yeah. Lacey Mitchell, 2 aces, 2 digs, and 10 kills in that one. Yesterday, they swept a try over Ravenswood. Again, a very close battle. They lost the first set 25-10. Did not look good at all. They came back, looked much better in the second 25-20, and it was a battle in the third set.
It was so back and forth.
Man, and neither team led by more than 3, I believe, in that third set. 28-26. Roane County gets it done. Boatwright with an ace and a dig. Mahaley Nicholson, 2 aces, 8 kills, and a block. Paige Blosser, 2 kills, 1 block. Piper Harlan, 6 digs. Olivia Moorhead, 1 dig and 20 assists. Lacey Mitchell, an ace, a dig, and 5 kills. A little bit easier, but not still easy in the second match versus Charleston Catholic. They got them in 2 sets, though. 25-22, 25-22, 2 close matches. In that one, Michaela Boatwright, a pair of aces. Mahaley Nicholson, 4 aces, 4 kills, a block, and an assist. Paige Blosser, a block. Piper Harlan, 1 dig, 2 kills. Olivia Moorhead, 2 aces, 2 digs, 8 assists. Lacey Mitchell, 2 kills. And freshman Jaden Kelly, 3 aces and a dig in that one. And that wasn't the full stats. I got what I could get. And I want to talk about this guy's daughter who came in as a sophomore. A lot more playing time than the first match, starting to show what she can do. She came in twice in very important times to serve, and she twice got 5 straight points for Roane County. Now, it takes the team to do it, but you got to get it over the net to start.
Yeah. It's a big
And
deal.
so Lexi playing very well last night. I don't know if you were able to watch.
Well, actually, we have no internet at home, or we didn't yesterday. So I didn't get to. Of course, her mom was there. And my cousin was sending me pictures and updates while I had internet on the way home. And she said, Lexi's playing very, very good.
Yes.
And we're proud of her.
It's
Well,
on- it's on the
she
YouTube
works hard.
channel, so
That's the
go
great
back and watch
thing.
it.
You
Yep.
can go now and watch it in
While
high
you're in the
definition
driver's ed car,
anytime you
can
want.
watch it.
I don't think that's a wise idea.
See the
36 kids down the last 2 days.
The the volleyball team will be home tomorrow. Just a duel against Gilmer County. For a while, I thought about doing that one, and then we did the St. Mary's game that lasted until 9:30, and I got to go watch the backyard brawl, first time in 11 years. So we're not going to get that one on, but we'll have plenty more Lady Raider volleyball action as they start off 3-0 on the season. Now,
I got little Raiders.
You better hustle.
Real quick.
you better hustle. I
So
want to talk about the St. Mary's
the
game.
only stats that I was able to get was what C team stats were sent in by the head coach Chris Robinson. The A team lost in this game 54-0, put them at 1-2. The B team with a loss 25-13, and that puts them at 2-1. And then the C team with the 18-0 win, they're 3-0 on the season. Riker Bennett with 5 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown. Brantley Lambert, he had 7 carries for 80 yards, 1 touchdown. Isaiah Critchfield, 3 carries, 12 yards, 1 touchdown on a fumble recovery. Lucas Schwartz, he had 7 tackles. That's my guy Shadow. He had 2 tackles for loss. Isaiah Critchfield with 8 tackles, 2 of those for a loss. Riker Bennett with 3 tackles. Cash Robinson with 3 tackles. Brantley Lambert with 3 tackles. Eli Critchfield with 2 tackles, and Jacob Miller with a fumble recovery. So Little Raiders C-Team football out to a 3-0 start on the season early. Thank you, Chris, for sending me those stats.
Absolutely. We always appreciate getting statistics when we can get them, and hopefully we'll get complete stats for all these teams. Obviously, the middle school is getting started tomorrow night. It's going to be, I'll put it down somewhere. It's going to be
Walton versus Clay at 6 at Clay.
Yeah.
Summersville at Spencer at 6:30.
Yeah, I gave him my sheet. He didn't know that off the top of his head. I'm kidding. He probably did. So we now join Coach Paul Burdette. Thank you for waiting in the wings for that one. I'm sure you were able to listen to some of those stories
of them.
from Bob.
Oh, yeah, I was here when he started.
and he was very excited because when he saw, he was like, "Yeah, I called this guy not just at Roane County, but for another 3-4 years
Right.
at Glenville State." So that was really neat to have that. Coach, we talked to you 2 weeks ago, and I apologize for getting you off your rhythm last week with the volleyball match. It didn't seem to affect you all one bit in the first half against St. Mary's last week. You guys came out, and I tell you, I was on the sideline for the Work County scrimmage, and I heard, a lot of players, a lot of coaches saying, "Man, we just don't have that energy. We don't have that pop, whatever it is." That was not the issue at all. You guys came out focused.
Yeah, they, I don't want to say it surprised me that we played that way because I know how we can play. I guess just the dominating fashion that we did it in the first half, and not surprised from my guys at all. The surprise came from St. Mary's, and not taking anything away from them. Obviously they're a good football team, and they proved that in the second half. But for some reason, they just didn't seem like they had it all together in the first half, and we were finely tuned and ready to go, and we were able to really kind of flex our muscles on both sides of the ball. The first drive was huge. The second play of the game, Shea goes 40, 45 yards, something like that, and really put us in great position. And then, of course, we were able to muscle it in and get the score and go up 8-0. Next series, St. Mary's on offense. Matthew Schaefer with just a phenomenal play, and had the whereabouts to tip the ball, not just tip it. He is like a volleyball dig.
Yeah.
He popped it up, turns around, catches it, and runs it back for a touchdown. Huge play, maybe the game, the play of the game, to be honest with you. And then of course 2-point conversion after that puts us up 16-0. And then we're able to stick another one in before halftime, and make that 2-point conversion. So we're 24-0 going into half, and so excited at halftime. But my message was, we have to finish. Don't think they're going to come out and play the same way in the second half. Don't think they're not going to be ready. Okay, I promise you, over there is not as calm as this is.
Right.
Okay, and we got to come out and we got to finish. We come out, and first series, Briar's cramping, and they're able to move the ball down the field and end up scoring. And we get the ball back, and we go right back down the field and score. And so I think that gave our guys maybe a little bit too much confidence. And I feel like when we did that, we kind of maybe let up on the gas pedal just a bit. But then Briar's cramping again, and so we kick off and they get the ball, and we were sending Clay on a blitz. Walker was in for Briar, and we're sending Clay through the left B gap, and Colton Paxton knows what play's coming because he studies film all the time, and so he knew they were going to run trap left, and he anticipates the play, and they go on a long snap count. He gets caught close to the line, and he doesn't get back in time. He gets sealed off, and Ramsey goes 55, whatever it was, long ways for a touchdown. And so it kind of shocked us, right? I mean, we kind of got a little bit of shock and all there, and we get the ball back, and I think we switched quarters at that time, and we got into a 4th and long, and we had run a toss pass, and it was wide open for the second time. Briar had his gloves on, it hits his hands, and they're squishing around. He said, "Coach, my gloves are wet." I hate gloves.
I'm waiting for it.
But anyways, it didn't work out, and St. Mary's ends up scoring and a crucial 2-point conversion play, and we're able to stall it, and we go up by, or we keep it at a 2-score game.
Yeah, Lane.
And there was like 5 minutes left, I think, and so we needed to eat clock, and take the ball back, and we start driving. looks like somebody punts the ball out of Skylar's arms, and it goes about 30 feet in the air, and Lane Watson comes flying in and recovers it. And I say, listen, we got to take care of the ball. 2 hands the whole time. And it pops out again, this time from Briar. And not going to say it's Briar's fault. I mean, obviously St. Mary's is going after the ball.
Yeah.
And Briar weighs about 165 pounds. So when you get to where you're going and you get pulled up off the ground and people start ripping at the ball, you can only do so much. But we had to really buckle down and play some good defense, and we were able to do that. We got some really good pressures on the quarterback in the fourth quarter. He took some shots.
Yeah.
Friday night, he took some major shots. We were able to get some really good pressure. Colton and Ori put some really, really good shots on the quarterback and got him a little bit antsy.
There's a perfect shot.
Yeah, that was Skylar.
Listen, Powell doesn't like being in our newspaper.
Yeah.
Last year, Christian, he was
Right,
doing the same
right.
thing.
He's got her both years. And so when you get the quarterback a little bit worried about the rush, it's 4th and long, and they try to throw a post, and Colton is right in his face, I think it was Colton or Ori won. I think we had a T twist on there, but anyways, we had pressure, and as soon as he seen the pressure, he thought, man, I got to get rid of it, and he lofts it high, and we had pretty decent coverage, and it just, sailed over his head. We were able to get the ball back, and, man, we just took off down the field.
Yep.
Coach May's going, man, we can score. And I said, I know we can, but let's just take a knee and get out of here. Really, really good, solid game. I told Jim Cooper, I think we just let up a little bit in the second half just so that everybody wouldn't leave. We want everybody to enjoy the new field and the win in person. Didn't want them to leave and listen to radio, right?
Yeah.
Obviously very proud of the win. Still got a lot of things we need to work on, a lot of things we need to get better at. Worked really hard this week. Last 2 days of practice been pretty solid. But again, there's focus every day. I told the guys yesterday after practice, I said, you got to imagine that this season is like a big feast on a table. And Friday night we ate one chicken leg, and it was really good. But we got all this food left to eat, and we can't be satisfied after one chicken leg. You got to stay hungry. You got to continue to work, and you got to know that before we're done, we got to finish this whole table.
Absolutely.
And we got another chance this Friday night to get us another mouthful. I remember the last time we went to Lincoln County. It was not my most favorite night, and of course last year stung bad. John knows. The coaches were in the office, and I walked in the office and I shut the door and I said, guys, this one's going to cost us down the road. We'll remember this night down the road in this season. And not that it really completely cost us. What it cost us was, on record, the best season we've ever had, even though I really feel like that was it.
Yeah.
Last season was the best season at Roane County High School, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Number 2, it cost us in the rankings. Okay, maybe we could have hosted a game instead of traveling, but it cost us, and nonetheless. And so I don't forget those last 2 years. The year before, the last time we went down there, really nothing that Lincoln County did, just bad luck, bad fate, whatever you want to call it. Shad goes down, Begg goes down, both within 20 plays of each other, both with the same collarbone broken. And I'm over there kind of digging in the dirt, trying to figure out what we're going to do, because your whole offense kind of went out the window there in just a matter of minutes. I don't know if I feel like we owe these guys, but I definitely feel like we got a redemption game with them. And I want our guys to go down there with a sound mind and be able to take the plan that we've put together, execute it, and hopefully get another win Friday night and get ourselves to 2-0. Because right now that's the only game that matters. We put St. Mary's to rest Monday, and guys know we're proud of them, but we got a lot more to do.
It seems to me, though, that, in a game like we had Friday night, a lot of these guys are going to learn from that, and it's going to continue to push them to not make those mistakes or understand you can't let down like that. And last year's game against Lincoln County, our guys figured kind of figured out how they wanted their season to go. They kind of turned that corner in that halftime room. But a lot of these guys have played in both of those games, like you're talking. They're hungry, I believe, to go down there and get the win against Lincoln County, because have they beat them in the in their high school career
Maybe as
as freshmen?
freshman. You know, I was making a point today, you know, talking about how horrible it was for me the last time we went down there. I said, but then you take somebody like Colton Paxton, you know, somewhere in the second quarter, we said, hey, man,
You're the Mike.
go try to play Mike linebacker here. You do really good in practice. Go see what you can do. And he's not stepped off the field since at that position. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't, maybe as freshman, John, that would have been what, in 19?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember that far back.
It's going to be a completely different look, a different team that you're playing too this year. They only bring back 2 starters on offense and I think 3 on defense.
Yeah,
They had a lot of seniors.
It's not the same team. And, you know, they told us before the game last year, said, hey, Coach, listen, if we're going to have success here, it's going to be this year because we have a ton of seniors. Yeah. And these guys have been successful all the way through, and it's just so hard for them because they're not a real big AAA, and they got to compete in that class, and it just makes it tough.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, it's nothing we don't know about. So,
also tough for you guys though to scheme against because, well, not incredibly difficult, but it's sometimes almost easier when you're like, well, I know who these guys are. I know what they can do.
Right.
Yeah, watching film for me this past time, I'm like,
who are these guys?
I can't remember any of these guys, but, you know.
Right. And their scheme really hasn't changed a lot. I mean, it seems to be, you know, basically the same scheme. It's just a totally different personnel.
Mm-hmm.
But like John said, Friday night was, you know, it wasn't perfect. And, you know, I really wanted to come out and complete the shutout in the second half and get a couple more scores. But, you know, we stayed, watched film Friday night after the game, and then we're on our way home, and either I called Coach Peary, he called me on the way home. I can't remember what for, and I said, hey, man, listen, you know, tonight's going to be really good for us down the road because we came out, we saw what, and we felt what success was like in the first half, and then we come out in the second half, and we faced some adversity, and we had to fight through it, and then in the end, we had to dig down. We had to find it deep and figure out how to close it out, right? And kind of like last year at St. Mary's, you know, I mean, a little tighter last year, but still the same idea. I mean, we had to figure out how to finish, and they were able to do it this Friday night and secure a big win, in my opinion. And hopefully, you know, we can build off of that. But John, I don't want to give the same halftime speech this Friday night as I did last year at halftime. And our guys,
for those guys don't want to hear that.
Our guys remember last year, and they remember the disaster that was the first half of last year's game against Lincoln County. You know, I think they're focused, and I think they understand what's on the line here.
Well, it's a very good opportunity again to go 1-0 this week. It'll be a long trip for you guys Friday night, 7:30 p.m. What's the weather supposed to be like down there? We know that field has been susceptible to some rain at times. Almost be a little softer. I'd like to not break some collarbones this time, but what's the weather supposed to be like down there on Friday night?
I think the rain for the majority of the week is over. It is going to be a little bit warmer on Friday, 86, 88, probably 60s, 70s by kickoff and 60s later on. So not terrible. About, I guess, what you would expect the first weekend of September. Could be worse, but dry, and that's a big deal.
Absolutely. Well, we know you're short on time here. I know we've gone over a bit. You've got to go make another phone call as you're going to be on with Fred Persinger and those guys for the Wednesday night high school sports line. And so we appreciate you giving your time to us first.
Nice to be on this early in the season.
Well, it's you know, you upset St. Mary's 2 years in a row.
It's very, very nice.
Hey, what I told Drew, right?
Yeah.
It was on the coach's squad.
Oh gosh.
Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck this Friday night. We'll be right there with you guys on Friday night at 7:30 p.m. And of course, we invite everybody to head down to Hamlin. I know it's a long trip, but obviously the kids would love to see all the support they can get every single game. If you can't make it, obviously you know how to find us on all of our different platforms. Thank you, Matt Wood. All of our platforms are good to go. Great interview tonight with Bob Zadanek, folks. We hope you guys really enjoyed that. Sorry for the issues with the sound at the end of that one. This will all be uploaded to our website, right on the first page of the website, for you guys to come back and watch if you'd like to later on. John Penna? Actually, Matt White, final words?
Yes. Final word. Happy Drew Miller Day.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
He stole my thunder.
I knew you were going to go there.
I know.
I knew you wouldn't let him down.
I
but
couldn't.
Just
I
to
couldn't.
make sure.
Final word from me. I cannot wait to see the guys back on the field. Friday
Absolutely.
night. Cannot wait for those guys to get back on the field Friday night and get this thing rolling again, man.
Looking forward to it, folks. That is the Raider Review. Let's take a look at the schedule of events here coming up. And I'm going to do it as quickly as I can because we got a lot of stuff going on here. Let's take a look at what's to come here tomorrow. Golf, Roan and Lewis at Stonewall at 4. And the middle school's getting ready to play Walton at Clay, 6 p.m. Summersville heading to Spencer Middle School at 6:30 p.m. to start middle school football. Indy at Roan for soccer at 6:30 p.m. Gilmer at Roan tomorrow at the Castle. Big day up there at the facilities. 7 o'clock for that that volleyball event. Friday night football. Roan at Lincoln County, 7:30 p.m. And on Saturday, Roan will travel to the Bulldog Bash in volleyball. 9 a.m. is the start time for that one. Monday, Lincoln County's JV heading to Roan County at noon because it is a day off for Labor Day. Volleyball, Spencer Clay at Ravenswood for a try, 6 p.m. Soccer, Spencer at Braxton at 6 p.m. Tuesday, September 6th, volleyball. Wirt will travel to Roan. I believe that's one we will actually have on the air. That starts at 7 p.m. for that dual. Soccer, Roan will travel to Tyler Consolidated at 7 p.m. And golf will be in a 14 match at Green Hills on Wednesday, September 7th at 4 p.m. That is your schedule of events, folks. We hope you join us on Friday night for high school football and followed by Metro News High School game night. Don't forget, tomorrow night at the Castle, Lady Raider volleyball action, we're going to be watching the Backyard Brawl. That'll do it for us, folks.